Welcome to Back on the Broomstick,
a modern witch's spoken word grimoire,
where two witchy friends from way back are reconnecting to their pagan roots after a long period of mundanity.
We're rewalking the path of the wise and trying out all the latest spells, rituals, and magical theory in today's witchcraft and pagan practices.
So grab your wand and your incense,
your cauldron and your crystals,
and join us
as we get
back on the broomstick.
Hi, and welcome to Back on the Broomstick. I'm Layla, and on this episode, we'll be talking about two topics that are near and dear to my witchy heart: the upcoming festival season and listener questions.
And I'm Chelle, and nothing really sparks the summer off like a good festival. We're going to not only talk about some of the festivals that we love, that we go to, that we do workshops at, but we're going to mention some that maybe are in your local area.
We know that it's very difficult for people to find witches in their areas. Sometimes you go to your local metaphysical shop, or maybe you go to the local UU church, but there's not always those things around either. So finding festivals that are in your state or in your area that you can go to can be a wonderful way to meet a lot of other witches and pagans.
Well, and also we're going to talk about some of the ones that we're going to be at if you want to meet us at some of these festivals.
After that, we'll dive into our grab bag of listener questions and answer a few of them for you guys.
There's always more questions than we can get to, but we randomly picked some. And if we didn't get to your question this time, we will try to get to you next time.
Yep. There's lots of ways that you can ask us. You can send us DMs on Instagram. You can send us emails. You can also on Spotify, you can send messages on each individual episode. And on our hosting service, Buzzsprout, they also have a way for people to send in questions, but I can't respond to them. So we actually went into that section and got some questions there to answer on air.
Why the hell do they even have a question in a writing area if you can't respond? That makes zero sense.
It does. And I asked them and they said it's so that you could answer them on air. And I don't think they realize how many questions that we get. It would be a lot easier to just type out.
Touche, Buzzsprout. Touche.
First, we're going to start with some festivals, including the one that we've been talking about an awful lot, the upcoming Sacred Space Conference in Townsend, Maryland at the end of March.
I've already started packing. That's all I'm going to say.
Chelle and I went last year and we each did workshops on cannabis magic and tea magic. And this year we were lucky enough to be invited back and we are doing a workshop together. This time we're doing a meditation ritual.
This is actually going to be great. And it's not just because it's us and it's not just because we're doing it, but we are actually going to do a ritual that is transformative and going on a journey. And you're going to meet your inner fool in this workshop. And I'm excited to do it.
We've been working on this particular ritual workshop for 9 months, 9 months now, pretty seriously.
Geez, that sounds like a baby's gestation period.
Right? Well, it feels like it, that's for sure. But Sacred Space Conference has been going for several years. And again, they are in Townsend, Maryland. And this is considered a intermediate to advanced practitioner conference. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about it.
But don't get us wrong. That is not like a requirement. You know, newbies obviously can participate in this, but they are definitely kind of, I don't want to say next level workshops, but kind of pretty intense.
And so much information, so much fun. The people who put it on, who host it, are just amazing, wonderful witches. This is an indoor conference and it's in a hotel. It's a multi-day conference indoors and there's workshops all day long that you can go to.
Very witchy environment. There's vendors,
musical performances,
rituals, workshops, but you also have to be cognizant you are also in a public hotel.
Right. There's more people than just our conference there.
Although it didn't feel that way.
No, it didn't. It was pretty well taken over by the group and everyone was really nice. So that's one of the first ones in the year is the Sacred Space Conference.
But, you know, it doesn't end there. Festivals basically start around this time of year, but then go all the way through to fall. So we do want to mention, again, not just the ones that we're participating in. You know, Sacred Space, it's pretty kick-ass, folks. But there's also, to kind of bounce to the middle of the country, we've got the Austin Witch Fest. This takes place in Austin, Texas. And it is a celebration dedicated to the education and practice of witchcraft. You know, just like at Sacred Space, there's workshops, there's vendors, there's rituals. and it gives you an opportunity to learn and connect with fellow pagans in that area. So for anybody in the Texas region, check out Austin Witch Fest because that's going to be happening basically during the same time Sacred Spaces.
One of the next ones that comes up is in May. And this is one that sadly I haven't gone to yet, and I don't know why, because we know so many people that go to this particular festival.
I already know what you're going to say because we've been talking about going to this one for 30 damn years and haven't gotten to it.
Yeah, this is Rites of Spring, and this is in Western Massachusetts, and it's an annual gathering to celebrate the earth. They do workshops, rituals, music. It's May 20th through 25th this year, and they have it out in the woods basically, but it's not like tent camping. There's cabins. They have communal cabins, they have some smaller cabins. Some of them have heat, they all have showers. There's a main building where they have food. So you can buy like a meal plan for the week, or you can bring your own food. So it's all about community and being part of the community. So you work together, you go to workshops together, you do rituals, you eat together.
That sounds super communal, which I love.
It really is. This is more like our old pagan community. And it's funny because a lot of them go to this.
Yeah, yeah. Which is how we actually heard about it and have been pining
Yeah.
over going, even though we haven't.
We have. Now, I believe this year it's $300 if you get a ticket early, and then another $200 if you get the full meal plan. So it's not something I've ever really been able to swing in the budget. But this year, I'm actually doing some side hustles, man, to try and do it this year.
It's on the bucket list,
It is.
man.
It really is. And everything I've ever heard about it is that it's fantastic community, wonderful magic. The workshops are just really, really good.
Now I want to go.
Me too. Maybe this year. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, Earth Spirit community is fantastic. There's also the New York State Fairy Festival that's in Sherman, New York, and that's the weekend of June 27th, 28th, and 29th this year. While not technically a pagan festival, it is very pagan, and if you do get to camp, you'll be treated to all sorts of performances, after hours shenanigans, and just a wonderful, amazing group of witches, pagans, and fairy loving people of all kinds.
Now to kind of bounce to the south a little bit, this is another one that I've had an interest in for a couple of years and I've just not been able to put it on my calendar yet. Mystic South. I don't know if you've seen stuff online about this, but this actually looks like a rip-roaring good time. This is in Atlanta, Georgia, and this kind of is more about mysticism, paganism, alternative spirituality. Again, workshops, rituals, presentations. But, kind of like Earth Spirit, this is intended to create that community sense, that communal bond. But I don't know, just the title Mystic South kind of draws me in to want to go.
And they always have excellent presenters. Now, I believe Mystic South is another one that's an indoor,
Hotel kind of thing.
yeah, it's an indoor conference type of one. So, you get a slightly different atmosphere when it's indoors. But I had a blast. It was absolutely wonderful. And the bed was much more comfortable indoors than it is when I go camping.
I just a side note, I remember one time that we were at a festival and we were camping and, call it a microburst, call it a tornado. Either way, we thought we were going to die that night.
I
You
remember.
don't get that at a hotel
I
conference. Just
know.
saying, just
That's
saying.
true. That's true. Yeah, the none of the workshops get canceled due to bad weather, so there is that. And I haven't been to Mystic South yet, but it looks
Another
really
bucket list festival.
absolutely. Now, one that we have been to last year, we did go to Witches Fest USA, which is in New York City, New York. This year, it'll be July 12th, and it is a 1 day celebration that has workshops, it has performances. It was one street that was closed down that had booths and tents set up along each side of the street, and it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of people. This is the festival where we got recognized for the first time in the wild.
We were like, wait, they're talking about us? Who, us?
Yeah. So shout out to New York City witches.
Maybe it's because I'm a New Yorker, but you cannot have a bad time in New York City.
Oh no.
Like a bunch of witches and pagans kind of laid out on the street for the afternoon. That's a vibe that you can't beat.
Last year I was wearing a tank top and my loosest, flowiest pants, and I still think I was a puddle of sweat by the end of the day. It was so hot, and we still had an amazing time.
Yeah, yeah, there was that. But they had belly dancers in the street and they had musicians and the vendors top notch, by the way.
They had that harpist playing Savage Daughter. She was great.
Absolutely. And then, again, awesome workshops, that just that sense of everybody that has a similar mindset crowded into one small area. You know what I mean?
And the vending was pretty on point too. It was really good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Another big festival that we've really wanted to get to, it was held at Brushwood for a little while. Now it's being held in Pomeroy, Ohio, and it has been for quite a few years, the Wisteria Campground in Pomeroy, Ohio. And that is the Starwood Festival. Starwood this year is July 15th through 21st, so it does kind of overlap a little bit with some of Brushwood's festivals. So you'll have to pick and choose, unfortunately. But Starwood is another camping outdoor festival, bonfires, rituals, workshops, amazing witchy people.
Now, the next one, I'm actually going to let you talk about it real quick because this is your jam.
Well, let's talk about the next two together because
Okay.
it's at a place that is both of our jam.
Near and dear to our heart, shout out to Western New York and Brushwood Folklore Center.
The first festival is called the Sankofa Festival. Sankofa, the Sankofa symbol has long been Brushwood's symbol. It looks like a curly Q heart. We'll put some pictures of it up. The idea of it is to not leave things undone or not to leave things behind, to take care of things when you can. The way it was explained to me when we first started going is that Sankofa is a Twi word from a tribe in Ghana in Africa. And it's a very powerful phrase. It means to go back and get it. The idea of it is that you should not forget the past, that it's okay to go back for what you left behind. You should remember your past. In order to make progress in the future, you have to remember the past. Take care of the things behind you. 10 or 15 years ago, they decided to have a festival and called it Sankofa. And from their website, they say that the Sankofa Festival is, quote, to celebrate the creative spirit. And it's the weekend before Sirius Rising.
What kind of makes it fun is they set it up where it's almost like back-to-back festivals.
Sankofa is almost like the lead-in shorter festival to the Sirius Rising Festival that has been going for 35, 36 years now.
Yeah, in a
And
bit.
it's a very large festival.
Yeah, and it's almost like Sankofa's the raising energy part
Yeah.
of Sirius Rising starting.
Yeah.
So the minute Sankofa is over, the next day starts the Sirius Rising Festival.
Sankofa is great for somebody who might want a mini festival. You just want a weekend where you go and every day is going to have workshops. It's going to have performances. There's a karaoke night on Saturday night.
Dancing and drumming that can't be compared, in my opinion.
Big bonfires and drumming in the roundhouse every single night under the stars, and then a larger bonfire at the end to celebrate the end of the festival. A wonderful time, and a lot of learning can be had and a lot of connection.
Not to mention they have a hot tub, and Shell always loves a good hot tub, just
They
saying.
have a pool, they have a hot tub, they have camping, they have different areas you can camp in, and they also have some cabins and RVs that you can rent to stay in. Now, those are limited, so you'd need to sign up for those pretty quickly. But you can camp, you can RV camp, you can also rent a cabin or an RV from them as well to stay. They also have hot showers. Now, Brushwood Folklore Center is
Clothing
clothing optional.
optional.
So once you go around the bend, after you get down from the main buildings, it is entirely clothing optional. So you will see nudity in places. And we've talked in the past about etiquette regarding clothing optional places.
But we definitely want to let you know that if you plan on going, you're going to see some itty bitties.
That's true. That's true. You do not need to show your itty bitties if you don't want to. You can dress in your witchy finest. You can dress in whatever you like or undress in whatever you like.
But I think the takeaway is they do some bomb ass festivals. You know, we used to go to Sirius Rising every single year back in the day, and like it was like the highlight of my summer,
Oh, yeah.
truly.
We ended up getting a seasonal
We
campsite,
did.
double seasonals out there every year because we loved these festivals so much.
Absolutely.
Sirius Rising is the bigger festival that comes after Sankofa. That is July 21st through 27th, again at Brushwood Folklore Center in Sherman, New York. Now, this one, every day is dedicated to a different element. So Monday is air. Tuesday is fire. Wednesday, water. You get the picture.
Yeah.
Until on Saturday night, they have the big, huge end of festival bonfire that is literally several stories tall.
Honestly, they stack the wood. It's got to be a good 30 feet, at least 30 feet stacked.
It's so big. So each of these days is around a specific element, and there's workshops, performances, and then fabulous all night drum circles, dancing. There's a didgeridoo dome. It's just amazing. It will blow your mind.
I don't know about you. I did my first one and you did it with me there, but I did my first Mandela there.
Catherine Cartwright Jones, we used to work with
Yep.
CCJ doing
Yep.
all the henna. And some of the workshops are to work with the roundhouse, which is it's an open air structure that's built of a lot of beltane poles.
Yep. Maples. Yep.
Maypoles, and there is a drumming shelter on one side, and it's dirt floor, and in the center is usually a large bonfire every night. And sometimes we would rake the sand around the bonfire and draw elaborate mandalas and designs to dance into the dirt later that night as we celebrated each element every day.
I don't think I've danced as much every day for a week straight as I have done at Sirius. No
Ah,
joke.
to wear some bells and to dance to the drumming, to sit in the drumming hut and to just drum all night long, to watch the dance. Oh, it's just, I
Oh my
cannot
God, you're
wait.
killing me.
I
We gotta
know.
we gotta move on. You're killing me.
So last year I presented at both of those festivals. Knock on wood, this year I will present at both of them as well. And hopefully,
I am hoping to be presenting as well. So yeah, there's that. But we'll see. We haven't heard back yet. We'll see.
so Dragon Fest is another festival. This one's out in Colorado, and that's July 30th to August 3rd this year. And we did get to talk to the wonderful people from Dragon Fest last year. You can check out that episode. I'll link it in the show description. But that is also another fantastic outdoor, very wonderful witchy festival that sadly we have not yet gone to.
Now, just the name Dragon Fest makes me want to go. Colorado's a little far for me, but just the
I
name
love
Dragon
Colorado.
Fest.
Colorado's so magical, though. I lived there for a little while in Leadville, Colorado, actually. It just feels magical in Colorado.
One day, one day. So moving on to Temple Fest. This is actually a little closer to where I'm at. This is going to be in Carleton, Massachusetts. This is the end of August, like a Labor Day weekend thing. This again, celebrating pagan and witchcraft traditions. This they do a lot of community building and the same thing as rituals, workshops, presentations.
Now there's more. Come on, Shell. There's something you're not saying. Come on, tell the people.
I am happy to say that my workshop has been accepted for Temple Fest this year.
Woo woo.
So I will be at Temple Fest. Layla will be with me.
I am there in a support capacity, but I will be there enjoying Temple Fest as well. So hopefully you guys can come too.
So if you are in the Western Mass or Eastern New York region or any surrounding area, get your booty to Temple Fest because this is going to be a hoot of a good time.
Now, Temple Fest has also been going for a few years, and this is another outdoor festival. We don't know the layout on this one yet, whether they have cabins or tents. Do you know anything about it, Shell?
I do know that there is cabin options. I am still looking into accommodations because I just recently found out I was accepted, so I'll have to get back to you on that.
All right. So this next one is a 1 day festival, and it's getting more and more popular every year. And you'll see these crop up, especially in bigger cities, usually the end of August through September. And I'm talking about Pagan Pride Day.
PPD, man, PPD.
Last year, we had wonderful fun and joy of presenting at the Central New York Pagan Pride because we got accepted for that back when I lived in New York. Neither of
Right.
us live in New York this year, so we're thinking about maybe we'll meet up because it's kind of central to us. So maybe we'll try that again, or maybe we'll find a different Pagan Pride this year. We're not sure yet.
But we met some great, fabulous
Yeah.
people in Central New York, and that was such a wonderful experience. And going back to our charms episode, I still have all the acorns I pocketed that day. Just saying.
Now, Pagan Prides are a fantastic way to meet people because they're local. You're going to meet people for the most part that are
Locally.
local to you. Yeah. Or at least within a few hours. Again, most major cities will have them nowadays. The very first Pagan Pride Day that Shell and I went to was shortly after the 9/11 attacks, actually.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
in 2001. I still have some pretty crazy pictures from that, but we had planned to go and visit our friend who lived in New York City, who was part of our coven. And that was a sobering experience. It was
Yeah.
interesting, but kind of a strange introduction to Pagan Pride Day. But yeah, that was pretty deep. But pagan prides are growing every year, and I just think it's wonderful that they're
You know,
all
back
around.
back then, Pagan Pride Day was kind of a new thing.
Yeah, the closest one we could find was New York
New York
City.
City, and we were 3 hours away. But now it's like every region or every major city has one
There's one in Buffalo, there's one in Rochester, there's one in central New York. I think there's one in Ithaca. New York State has a ton of them. Here in Pennsylvania, I've seen them in Harrisburg, Philly, they're all over.
up near Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, yeah. But that's something that you can Google and should be able to find something local in your area or go to, what is it? Man,
Mandragora Magica.
that word
Yep.
that I have a hard time saying. And you should be able to find something at least within a 2, 3 hour radius of you because they literally are everywhere now.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's called Pagan Pride Day, but different groups in different cities, I don't want to say there's not a designated date on a calendar, but it's almost like sometime within that month, almost like September itself is like Pagan Pride Month.
Yep.
So they're going to be kind of scattered throughout. So it's not going to be, I can't give you a date.
Exactly. Most of the ones I see are very late August through
And
September.
throughout September,
Yep.
yeah. So I think that that is something that everybody should go to their local Pagan Pride Day at least once. If for nothing else, network with your local witches, people.
Exactly. Best way to meet people. All right, we've got a couple more.
Now, I'm going to let you take this one because this is from a land that you love.
There is one out in California that we have on our list. This is called Hexenfest, and this is October 9th through 12th, and it's in Upper Lake, California. This is a music and arts festival for witchy, creative, and visionary types. They explore themes like otherworldly, animistic, mythic, pagan, fairy tale, and they provide a space for inspiration and community.
That sounds fun. I like
Doesn't
the
it?
whole fact that they like they entwine music with it. I like that.
Honestly, most of the ones that we've ever been to will have drumming, they'll have different musical acts, but I like that this one is specifically,
Kind of promotes music as part of it.
yeah. Speaking of music, if you like pagan music, Wendy Rule is a name you probably know, and she is playing on Hexenfest on Saturday night. So, if that gives you an idea.
Interesting. I don't know how quickly I can get to California, but
I'm always trying to get back, so we'll see.
again, bucket list festival, bucket
Bucket
list
list.
festival.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap up, and I like to think of this festival as a part two. So we talked about Earth Spirit in Western Mass earlier in the spring. They also, in the fall, have a festival called Twilight Covening.
This is the one I have to go to.
Now, I'm confused, and you may know more and can correct me, but do you have to go to Rites of Spring to be able to go to Twilight Covening?
No, actually, back when we first heard about these, that was the suggested idea is that you should really go to Rites of Spring first and
Uh-huh.
get to know because the idea is Twilight Covening is intense. It's 3 days of intense magic.
This is deep, deep. This is like probably the deepest spiritual one out of all of them, like
Yeah,
deep
this
one.
is immersive, spiritual, magical work. And you go there not to party, which can be a very strong, fun theme through a lot of these festivals, but you go there to do the work. And so it was suggested that you go to Rites of Spring first before you went to Twilight Covening.
Okay.
Now, that's not necessary, although it's preferred, but not necessary at all.
Okay.
The cool thing about Twilight Covening is that they have clans. When you sign up, you don't just sign up to go and then you just say, oh, there's these different workshops every day. You sign up for a specific clan, and each clan will be like the Spider Clan or the Grandmother
Oh my
Clan
God,
or
is this like Harry Potter where you get put into a house?
kind of, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And each clan will have a theme. Like it'll be different levels of magic. Maybe it'll be more for beginners or more for, people who are into meditating or, each one will have a different focus. And so you pick what you want to focus on magically, and you'll request to be in one of three clans.
Shit, I love that.
Yeah, and so you won't know what clan you get until after everybody's signed up. Then they go, Earth Spirit, the community goes through and tries to balance all these clans. So then you'll find out which of the three you chose you actually got into.
Oh my God, I love that.
Every year I look at these clans and I'm just like, I want to do this so bad.
I don't know, that screams Harry Potter and like the, what's the hat called?
The sorting hat. It's
The
the
sorting
sorting hat.
hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. Again, bucket list and has been on my bucket list for far too long. And I really, really want to go this year so bad.
We'll get there. We'll get
We
there. We'll
will.
get there.
But yeah, as far as like magical immersion and really working, this is the one. This is the one that's really deep.
Now, we do want to apologize that we didn't focus a whole ton on Midwest and Western ones. They're hard to find and we're so unfamiliar, but go to the website
Mandragora Magica.
and they have listings of festivals on there. Layla and I have a list, and I am sure I can coax Layla into putting it in the show notes.
I'll also put it on the website.
Exactly. But I just think if for nothing else, the networking opportunities and if you have one local to you and you're afraid to commit to a weekend or a week-long thing, get a day pass, go check it out and see if that's something that you're interested in. But they're a great experience, whether they're in hotels, conference centers, in the middle of the woods. I recommend everybody go to a festival at least once.
Absolutely. Preferably many times. Go many times.
Well,
Go
yeah,
to as
yeah.
many as you can.
But to kind of recap the fun parts of this, if you go to Sacred Space or Temple Fest or Sankofa or Sirius Rising, you are going to have a Layla and Chelle sighting.
That's true. You'll get to do workshops and stuff with us. Okay, so I think that is our list. Now, that is not a comprehensive list. There are a lot more festivals, tons that we didn't get time to mention. I will put a link to Mandragora Magica as well as all the festivals that we've listed.
Okay.
Now, the other thing that I absolutely love, other than festivals, is talking to our listeners. And we have a grab bag of questions.
Okay, what's question one?
Question one. This one, I'm sorry I don't have your name, but this person wrote in, I was wondering if there was some spell work or information on witchcraft for those who are recovering from PTSD and things like that. What can we do to move on and heal?
Meditate would probably be my first thing, to be honest with you. Try to find a meditation. For me personally, I always go back to that crystal countdown meditation, but find a meditation that works for you that you can do, whether it be daily, every other day, weekly, whatever you can fit in your schedule, but find one and stick with that one meditation and do it repetitively.
Now, we're not doctors. Definitely talk to your doctor, talk to, your mental health professional. But I like that you said that because I've found that for a lot of people, trauma, it can really leave you feeling not connected to yourself physically, not connected to your physical body. And so doing breath work, doing meditation can really help to slow you down and help you to find comfort in that connection again. And it can kind of help you get out of that stress mode, that fight or flight mode. And also a daily practice, finding a daily practice that you can lean into, whether it's that meditation or a tarot card pull or brewing a special cup of tea, every day with intention to try and bring yourself back to a peaceful moment can be something that you can really do.
I guess maybe bottom line is find 5 to 10 minutes a day, if not more, but 5 to 10 minutes a day where you can just kind of become one with yourself.
Yeah. And if you can find some time to do some spell work and create an incense blend that I like for relaxation, chamomile, lavender, blue lotus, and frankincense. You can mix those together with intention and then use a little bit of that as a daily incense when you're doing this practice, especially if you can be in a peaceful state when you create that incense. That will carry over that every time you burn that incense, it will help to bring you back to that peaceful state, that centered state that can help you find a little bit of normalcy and peace in the middle of that stress.
And I think that's where the repetitiveness comes in, is it kind of gives you a focal point for the future when you find yourself starting to spiral, you default to that specific thing, and out of repetitiveness, it automatically calms you down.
when I'm stressed out, I do tend to reach for my cards and my journal because I've done it so much in a calming space with incense and candlelight that just the act of pulling them can kind of bring me back to that relaxation state.
Oh, who you kidding? You pull your journal for everything, you freaking writer. You just had to
It's
fit
true.
in journaling in, didn't you?
I did. I did. But to
Yeah, yeah.
whoever wrote this or to anyone else that's in our audience that's suffering with PTSD or anxiety or stress, especially nowadays, we get it. Just know that we hear you and know that healing doesn't always look the same for everybody. It's not always a straight line. Some days are going to be easier than others, but magic and witchcraft is at its deepest form about reclaiming who you are, about being who you are.
And healing.
Yeah, about healing yourself, your space, but know that you're on the path. Know that we're here with you.
Know that some days we feel the same way.
So, ready for the next question, Shell?
Hit me with it.
All right. This person wrote, "Hey there, I am loving, loving, loving your podcast. Every episode leaves me with new insight and questions. To be respectful of your time, I'll ask about the swords versus wands representations. Your episode discussing this controversy was very helpful and validating. I'm struggling because it isn't a one-for-one switch for me. It's close, but not complete. Is there a method of learning tarot in this situation? Is it a good idea to first explore what wands and swords each means to me? I can't help but feel discomfort at losing something from the cards if I recreate meaning of these two suits. And how does this affect my understanding of how these cards relate to the elements, directions, and astrology? Each of those are big questions. Thank you for sharing all that you do. Warmly, Dawn from Rhode Island." Dawn also says that she lived on Seneca Lake in Hector.
No shit.
Yeah. So, hey, Dawn, I also grew up on Seneca Lake. How fun.
Hey, Dawn, I grew up about an hour from Seneca Lake. Um, First, I think the first reaction I have to the first question is your cards are going to do you the best justice, and your relationship with your cards and the messages you receive from the cards are going to be best with what you feel. And just because the book says whatever, who gives a shit? If you feel that swords means air, that's what you're going to get out of those cards. So we don't want you to feel uncomfortable with, how you feel versus what the books or the pamphlet says. For those cards to do their justice to you and your intentions, you have to go with what you feel those meanings are for swords and wands.
And I'm going to go one step further and say that if you don't feel like that it has any elemental correspondence, that's okay too.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable with those and they don't seem to suit you or how you read or your cards, just throw them out. Don't even use those. How do swords feel for you? Like, do they feel strong? Do they feel angry? Do they feel passionate? Do they feel intellectual? Do they feel like conversation? Like, what do they feel like to you? And that's where daily pulls and journaling comes
There you go
in.
again.
Because if you write down how it presents itself to you, what feelings it gives you, you can just go with that. You don't need to assign an element to it at all.
Actually, I'm going to have to agree with tarot journaling. It kills me to say it, but I totally agree with it. But my relationship with the cards is different than Layla's
Yeah.
relationship with the cards. That's going to be different than Dawn's relationship with the cards. So you just need to spend time with your cards and build that relationship and learn what cards are saying what to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's definitely days when I'm reading a card where I'm like, oh, the fire energy is just bouncing off this card. And there's other days when I'll read the same card and never think of an element or fire or anything like that at all. So it's really going to vary on the situation and kind of what's going on in your life and in that particular reading.
In your view of your cards.
Yep, exactly. Oh, I love that. All right. So now the next one I think is really funny because you mentioned this in the first question, but all
Uh-oh.
right.
What?
All right. So this question is, hello, wonderful witches. Aloha from Maui, Hawaii. I'm so happy to have found your show and I'm really enjoying listening to it. I started way back at the beginning and I'm listening through. I haven't finished all the episodes though, so forgive me if you already covered this, but on your recommendation, I am reading Power of the Witch and I'm really enjoying it. But I'm having a little trouble with the crystal countdown. I'm not exactly sure what she means by seeing the numbers and seeing the apple. Are you supposed to literally see it behind your closed eyes like a hologram? Or is it more imagining in your mind and holding the image in your mind's eye? Do you think you could do an episode, if you haven't already, where you really break down the crystal countdown and the different meditations she talks about in the book, like the apple meditation and visiting a store meditation? Thanks again for this great podcast. I'm really enjoying it.
Okay, first of all, we'll answer your question if and only if you let Layla and I come stay with you in Hawaii.
That's right. We are absolutely not going to answer it unless we get an invitation.
Man, I just want to go to Hawaii.
Right? You have for a long time.
I guess the answer to the first question is absolutely yes. I picture in my mind's eye an apple with the number on the apple. Yes.
And I'm going to say absolutely no.
What do you picture?
I can't see things in my mind like that.
Really?
Really? Yeah. So, okay. All right. So I have a thing. People have a thing. Okay. Some people can, in their mind, in their mind's eye, have vivid, detailed mental pictures. They can literally see a picture in their head. Some people can go so far as to see like a movie in their head, moving images in their head. And then there's other people like me who have trouble with that. And there's actually a thing called aphantasia, where there are people who cannot see images at all in their head.
No shit.
No shit.
Yeah, no, I see the apple. It's red.
I can't. I can't. And I love meditation. So some people are very surprised to find out that I don't see images in my head like that. I can't see pictures.
I never knew that.
Isn't that funny? I didn't realize that other people could.
So everything is right. Nothing is wrong.
Kind of, yeah. But what I do instead, when people talk to me about visualization and the fact that I don't actually see a picture comes up, what I realize that I do is it's more of it's a feeling, it's an energy. If I'm doing the crystal countdown and I say, imagine like the number 9 in your head and say
I
that it's
see a 9
red.
in my eye, in my closed eye.
I think about 9. I think about what it looks like. I can't see it, but I can think about drawing it, or I can think about what it looks like in the real world. I can think about what 9 means to me, and I can think about the colors. So kind of like symbolic thinking, it can be called, I
Right.
guess. So you don't actually have to be able to see a picture to do magic or to do meditation. And that's what a lot of people like me who have aphantasia to differing degrees have trouble with sometimes when they hear about spell work or meditation, because we don't see pictures. And that can be a barrier for some people, but symbolic visualization is just as valid and works just as well.
Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing, whereas mine's more like Sesame Street and I see the number 9. Ha, 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 ha. Like I see that. Like, wow, I didn't realize that not everybody saw that.
Yep. I also have face blindness that goes with it, which is a little difficult for me. I have everybody's face looks the same and I can't remember what anybody looks like. Unless I know you
Thank God
really,
you
really
remember my
well.
face.
I know I've known you for decades. I know your face as well as I know my own.
Good. Keep it that way.
But yeah, so our wonderful Hawaii listener, aloha. But yeah, so I love that you're enjoying Power of the Witch. It's a great book. I loved the Crystal Countdown meditation. It's fantastic. Don't worry about not being able to actually see them. Work on the sensation of 9, I guess. Work on this, how it feels, or think about it, the
Or what
idea.
orange makes you feel like,
Yeah,
and what
yeah.
yellow, how do you feel when you think of bright
Is
yellow?
it cool? Is it warm? What are the sensations about it? I'm not exactly sure how to describe how I quote unquote visualize things, but it's kind of like that.
Great book. Great
Yeah,
book. If you
great
haven't
book.
finished it, you'll love it.
And yes, the last part of your question is absolutely yes. We would love to do an episode in the future where we talk about the Crystal Countdown meditation in particular and in depth, and we'll talk about all sorts of different ways to use that in your practice.
And we would also love to camp and tent in your backyard.
Absolutely. Invite us to
Absolutely.
Hawaii. There you go. See,
Yeah.
we answered your question. Now you owe us. I think that was the rules. I'm pretty sure that was the rules.
Exactly. At least for her, it is.
That's right. There you go. It's binding now. But hopefully we will see some of you guys at upcoming festivals, including Sacred Space coming up the end of this month. We've already had a couple people reach out and say that they would like to stop by and say hi. So I'm very excited to meet some listeners.
I think this is the funnest part is when we actually get to meet listeners. And
Me
I
too.
guess last year at festivals, I was taken aback, but I I just want people to know that we love meeting you as much as you love meeting us.
Oh, yeah. You already have permission. Give us big hugs. Come on up. Say hi. We're there. Flag us down from across the conference room. We're into it. We'll say hi. We'll go outside, smoke a joint
Absolutely.
with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. On that note,
I gotta pack. I gotta go
yeah,
pack.
we have got to go pack. We're so excited about all of this. We have so much stuff. I have so many books that I want to get signed.
There's a great lineup this year, and I'm flabbergasted and I'm honored to be able for us to do this with the lineup that's there. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
I'm not sure who you bribed to get us in there, but keep doing it.
But what I do know is if I don't go pack, I ain't going anywhere.
All
So,
right. Well, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Back on the Broomstick. Please like, subscribe, give us some stars, give us some reviews. We love it and it helps the show out. Send us an email at backonthebroomstick@gmail.com. Send us something in the snail mail. Back on the Broomstick, P.O. Box 106, Salem, Massachusetts 01790.
I love getting mail. I just want to say that.
It's a
Keep it
lot of
coming,
fun.
folks. Keep it coming.
And so hopefully we will see you at some of these festivals. If not, we will see you next week on our next episode. In the meantime, be wise, be wicked.
And you know what, folks? Keep it witchy.